What's up? Welcome back. Got some jig heads to show you. That is a hot thing right now, the jig head minnow. There's a lot of innovation in there, and I'm gonna show you about these. These are from Chompers. They're really different. We'll talk about them now. Thanks everyone for watching. As you know, I'm all about bass fishing tackle and the latest and greatest, and you really can't talk, a week or two without talking about forward-facing sonar. And I have some new stuff for forward-facing sonar. They're a jig head. I mean, a ball head jig head is just fine for the minnow. But as we've seen, there's been a lot of innovation with different styles of jig heads. Things like the range roller, which I've done videos on well over a year ago. With the weight kind of pointed up to get the bait to rock. We've seen, tungsten. We've seen all these different styles of heads. We've seen the queen tackle rollin' strollin' with the eye that's kind of backwards. It's kind of on the opposite side of that. Did a video on that as well. So I figured it'd only be fair that I showcase this one. This is from Chompers, and I will show you this, but it's called the FFS Horizon Head and the Horizon Head Pro. So this thing looks crazy, honestly. So I'm gonna have to give you some up close looks on this, and I'll do a little bit of rigging as well. But if you look at the eye, I'll get real close on this one. But if you look at the eye, it's over here, the line tie. And then it's a really long hook. The longer hook shank is also said to help that. Kind of a different concept. I definitely give them some credit for trying that. I don't know about this hook right here, though. It's kind of bent in. I don't know if I got a bad one. I mean, that's something to talk about right away. I mean, I'm gonna definitely have to bend that out a little bit, in my opinion. Okay, this one, nope, that's just how it is. So, different style hook, really long hook. I mean, compared to another jig head, that is interesting. But again, it's supposed to keep that bait in place, more horizontal, so you get that better roll. Now I'm gonna rig some baits on this. Like I said, I haven't done anything with these, just got them out of the package. Don't know much about them, except that I've seen these posted a few times. I've seen them on TikTok and some different social media sites, people talking about these, but that is supposed to really change how your bait acts. And it's interesting to see this from Chompers. I mean, that's an old school bait company. You think of those, whatever the hula grub looking things are. I remember those. They, really garlic scented, all their tubes. I could see the package in my mind. I just remember those from back in the day. Honestly, I really hadn't heard much about them lately until I started seeing these posted. So I can tell you right away, and I'll show you the other one too. There's one that's a little bit different. Let's do that now. So this is just the regular Horizon head. Same kind of deal, but it has just like a normal molded collar on there. It doesn't have the weight all the way down it. So it's got to be a little bit bigger head, you would think. They're both 1/4 ounce, but I guess not. So that's kind of interesting. I would think this one weighs a lot more, even though they're both 1/4 ounce, but that's just what it says on the package. But let's rig one of these guys up. This is a Jackal Drift Fry Mellow, so it's a big bait. Okay, so that's kind of cool. It fits on there. These big baits for sure are going to fit on there nicely. I can tell you right now though that smaller bait is not going to look very good on there. Let's see what that looks like. I got a little fish roller here. This poor bait, I've had this in so many videos. It's my go-to. It's just on my bench over there. I've used it in so many different little videos. But I'm going to tell you, it's probably going to kind of overpower this little bait. I think it's a 4-inch bait, and it definitely does. So really this is kind of for your bigger baits, in my opinion. It's more than almost half the size of that bait. So I think that may change the action on it, but then again, it may just give it better rolling. I'm not really sure. But that eye and kind of the placement of it is really unique. Just that it's back there, you're gonna get that more horizontal look. And they said that longer shank, like I said, is supposed to help with that as well. So really unique concept. I like the innovation. No matter what you want to say about forward-facing sonar, it's cool to see some different ideas of, how to do something a little bit different, a little bit better. That's one cool thing that always happens with the fishing world. A technique gets really hot, and then there's all these spin-offs and little tweaks and things like that to fit that technique, which I think is pretty cool. It just shows the ingenuity of the fishing companies, mainly just to sell more baits, but also to improve what we're doing. So these come in several sizes from a 1/16 up to a 1/2 ounce. The one downside is they're not cheap. They're $9 for a 5-pack, so you're talking almost $2 each. So again, not cheap at all. Especially when you you factor in the cost of, if you were going to buy tungsten, it's really not that much more. So that's one downside that I see. But really, the true test, like I say in all my videos, will be getting this stuff on the water, and preferably somewhere where I could see it in action and see how it does. Right now the fish are up on the bank, and thankfully I don't have to go shake a minnow as much, but that time is going to be coming again very soon. So I will do a follow-up on these, give you my full impressions of these new things from Chompers, which is, like I said, a blast from the past for me at least. I maybe I just haven't been paying attention, but it's cool to see that innovation. And this is their FFS Jighead, and then the Pro Horizon head, and then this one right here, which I definitely like this one better with that keeper on there, just to keep your plastic in place. A really cool idea. Long hook on that sucker. So let me know, have you fished these things? And also let me know, comment below, what's your favorite forward-facing jighead minnow? You know, you may hate the style of fishing, but if you are into it, let me know what jig heads you're using, what's been best for you. I always like to hear that feedback. Thanks for watching.